Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 7, entitled as Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Sloka 8 through 11. Raso apsu kaunteya prabhāsmi śaśi-sūryayoḥ praṇavaḥ sarva-vedeṣu śabdaḥ pauruṣaṁ nṛṣu puṇyo gandhaḥ pṛthivyāṁ tejaś cāsmi vibhāvasau jīvanaṁ sarva-bhūteṣu tapasviṣu bījaṁ sarva-bhūtānāṁ viddhi sanatanam buddhir-buddhimatāmasmi tejasvinamaham balam balavatam chaham kamaraha vivarjitam dharma virudho bhūteṣu kāmosmi bharatarṣabha. The analogy of material objects like the sun and its rays, fire and its heat, are said to explain the inconceivability. The Lord is said Shaktiman, the possessor of Shakti. Everything else is his Shakti. This is another reason why it is called Achintya, because the relation cannot be adequately described in terms of the relation between the part and the whole. As we saw several times that everything is part and parcel of the Lord, part and parcel, part and whole. Here, the part is not merely a part, and the Shakti is not merely a Shakti. The part and the whole, that is the Shakti and the whole means Shaktiman, interpenetrate and form an undivided whole. Like he appears in many forms and yet he is one. His leelas, name, form are at once different and there is no difference. For each part of the Lord can perform the functions of the other part. Krishna has many energies, Shaktis within him. Those Shaktis manifest by changes into Chit and Achit. This Shakti is non-different from the Lord himself. Like the heat is from fire, at the same time it is different from the fire. Likewise, the Shakti is in Shaktiman. Shaktiman means one who possesses the Shakti. But Shakti is separate from the Shaktiman. Therefore, we see that oneness and differences exist, and the relationship between these two is hard for us to conceive. Achintya bheda bheda. Now let's understand how these energies work. These energies are classified into three. Well, before we get into the energies, three energies, we need to know that the Lord is Sat Chit Ananda. He is full of eternity. Sat, which Sat also means existence. Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of bliss. With that in mind, let's see his various energies. All his energies are classified into three: Stula Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, Sūkshma Shakti. Stula Shakti is also known as Bahiranga Shakti. That is nothing but the material nature, the Achit. Tatastha Shakti is the marginal energy, which are the Chit, living entities. Antaranga Shakti or Sushma Shakti or is internal energies, potencies, which exist in the spiritual world. Now, let's see more details about this Bahiranga Shakti. This is nothing but all the non-sentient 24 elements which get generated from the Lord, and that is what called as Bahiranga Shakti, from which the entire universes, the 14 planetary system get created. None of these 24 elements as Chit, means knowledge. None of these 24 elements as bliss, Ananda. They only possess Sat. They only exist. They exist from the transformation of Sat quality of Krishna. We saw Sat, Chit, Ananda. So this Bahiranga Shakti comes from the Sat quality of Krishna. And this Bahiranga Shakti is the one which connects the living entities, the Jivatma's physical body, and to the external world. Because of this, the Jivatma, the living entity, forgets his eternal relationship with the Lord, Ishvara. This Bahiranga Shakti is also called as Maya Shakti. But this is different from the Maya that is adopted by Advaita philosophy. It's not the same. Now that we saw the first classification, Bahiranga Shakti, let's move on to the second one, Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha means at the seashore or at the border of the sea. That means the living entities are the one which is in the border between the external and internal energies of the Lord. Bahiranga Shakti as Sat. We saw that previously. And it does not have Chit or Ananda. Therefore, the absence of Chit makes it to be called as Achit in Bahiranga Shakti. Now, the presence of Chit, which is knowledge, in living entity, defined them to be called as Chit, which means that which has knowledge. And also, for this reason, the living entities are higher than the matter. Matter only has Sat, living entities as Sat and Chit. Whereas when it comes to Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, the Lord has Sat, Chit and Ananda. In that way, the Lord is in a higher position than the two, that is, the matter and living entities. And it is also important to mention the point in the philosophy of Achintya Veda Abheda Tattva, there is no concept of merging, meaning that the moksha does not make one to become God. God is unique and no one can take the position of God, replace God or become God. He is always God. So to summarize what we have studied so far, God, matter and spirit soul, are they all one or different? That has been our subject for discussion. That which says one is called Abheda Siddhanta, which is established by Shankaracharya. The one who says they are different and independent is called Bheda Siddhanta by Madhvacharya. Next, the one who states that the Lord is one, but with all this within himself, he is not devoid of matter and spirit soul. That is established by Sripad Ramanujacharya in his Vishishtadvaita. Then we saw Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who put these things together by accepting both Bheda and Abheda, but concludes it that it is inconceivable to understand that relationship. To understand the oneness and differences simultaneously, it is difficult. Therefore, it is called Achintya Bheda Bheda. Further, we saw that the Lord has 3 Shaktis. We saw this to understand more on the Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy. That the Lord's energy are classified into 3. They are Bahiranga Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, and Antaranga Shakti. The Bahiranga Shakti, the first one, is about the material elements, the material nature, and the Tatastha Shakti is about the living entities. The material nature is devoid of knowledge and bliss, whereas the living entity possesses the Sat and Chit. What we have to cover next is the Antaranga Shakti and the relationship between these Shaktis, the relationship between Paramatma and Jivatma, and also the Ishvara Tattva. These topics we will cover in our next session. Namaste, Hare Krishna.